And now, for the first time in 40 years, the boy who lived there is now a man and breaking his silence. Trace Gallagher has the story. Trace?
His name is Danny Lutz, Megan. He's 47 years old now. His parents bought the Amityville horror house back in 1976. They bought it 13 months after a 23-year-old man shot and killed his parents and his 4 younger siblings. The Lutz family claims as soon as they moved in, it started. Jolting sounds at night, objects flying across the house, green slime oozing from the walls, kids levitating above their beds. Danny Lutz says he hasn't talked about it in 37 years, but the stories are true. Listen.
When I went in there was probably 400 or 500 flies. And we're talking, this is mid-December in Long Island. The entire family is standing there watching the garage door slam up and slam down, and the dog is hanging himself.
Yeah, Lutz believes his stepfather, George, that man who bought the house at a steep discount, actually brought this upon the family because before they moved in, he dabbled in the occult. Listen.
Satanic history, devil worship, mind control. I was possessed by a spirit that I could not get rid of on my own. I didn't care if the priests were beating me, performing exorcisms on me, which, if I'm not mistaken, they don't want to talk about.
Now, there have been many skeptics over the years, including a lawyer who says he helped the Lutz family dream this whole story up for profit, and others who say the family has no samples of green slime, they have no pictures, they got no proof at all. This documentary, by the way, Megan, trying to disprove that.
Some suggested DeFeo was after his father's $200,000 insurance policy, but followers of the occult believe something much more sinister was behind his murderous rampage.
Ron was into some very dark things. He was into some occult practices.
Ronnie DeFeo said that there was a black, dark mass or shadow alongside of him, which was obsessing his thoughts and telling him to kill everybody.
Was Ronnie possessed? No. No. He was insane. Rejecting that defense, a jury found DeFeo guilty and ordered him to serve 6 25 years to life sentences. Now at the Greenhaven Correctional Facility upstate, DeFeo was recently denied a request for parole. Despite earlier confessions, DeFeo's stories have wavered over the years, accusing others, including the mob, of committing the murders while he was smoking marijuana in the basement. In recent correspondence with me, he again suggested it was his sister Allison who killed everyone, and that he killed her in self-defense while wrestling for the gun. DeFeo writes, "Really, I need to find a real criminal lawyer, get the DNA testing done, and I am out the door, because the truth speaks for itself." Out of the brutal murders in this house, one of the biggest mysteries still lingering 25 years later is why none of the family members was awakened by the explosive burst of gunfire throughout the house. The Lutzes claim the house was haunted by evil spirits. Religious demonologist Ed Warren and his clairvoyant wife Lorraine, who operate a museum of the occult in Connecticut, came in to investigate.
There is no doubt in our mind that something of a demonic nature haunted that home.
We could sit here for 3 weeks, and I'll keep telling you each time it's a fraud. Bill Weber was the trial lawyer for Ronald DeFeo, who was found guilty of killing his family in that house a year earlier. The Lutzes took advantage of an unfortunate incident and built a supernatural story around it, but it's not true. In letters to me from prison, DeFeo says it was he who was taken advantage of. Declares also that the Amityville horror is a hoax, that it's all about money and industry. The convicted killer sent me documents purportedly showing that his lawyer was after lucrative book and movie deals and accuses him of starting what has become one of the greatest ghost stories of all time. I didn't start it, that's for sure. You contributed to it? I contributed, absolutely. After the Lutzes fled the house, Weber says he met with them to discuss a book idea about the DeFeo murders, not a ghost story. We sat down and we talked. We had a nice evening conversation.
So this story evolved over dinner with the Lutzes and a bottle of wine.
I think it was about 3 bottles of wine. Yeah. Yes, about 3 bottles of wine.
So the story grew with each bottle of wine?
Each bottle became a better story.
It is definitely not a hoax.
The evidence that we would have to use would be the photographs that we had taken. Shows a ghostly little boy looking out of Missy's room. Seconds before, there was nothing there. Then you see a small boy's face with luminescent eyes.
As for the swarm of flies the Lutzes claimed infested the house in the cold of winter, Attorney Weber says that was the work of their creative minds, not demons. I told them there were flies found in the house when the body of the older sister was discovered. From those flies, they created a complete supernatural scene in the sister's room. Weber asserts that the idea for the green and black slime oozing from the walls came from crime scene photographs. There was greenish-black substance around many of the doorknobs. They were the result of fingerprint powders. Those photographs, that was what constituted in the Lutz's mind the green slime that was coming out of the doors. Another bizarre element to the unnerving story is the seemingly striking resemblance between homeowner George Lutz and the man who lived in that house before, convicted murderer Ronald DeFeo.
This is the crucifix which George Lutz used going throughout the house to try to cast out the evil that was there. But he simply wasn't strong enough to overpower what was there.
Whatever it was the Lutzes believed was in that house, it did not manifest itself the night I spent in the house 23 years ago with a group of parapsychologists who conducted a seance.
Whatever is here.
You're trying to harm them?
Yes, and it's something that comes at you and makes your heart speed up, that kind of thing.
The demonic force was supposedly the strongest in the sewing room, where Lorraine Warren conducted another seance by candlelight. Other than a brief chill, after all, it was February, I felt nothing unusual.
But it did to me, Marvin, because I said to you, Marvin, I hope this is as close to hell as I'll ever get.